Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dungeon Mastered. I am your host, Dustin, and with me, as always, is Martin.
Hey, everybody.
And if you were a listener last time, we were in the midst of our Rogues playthrough. If you want to call it a playthrough. I don't know if you can call it a tabletop a playthrough. I'd like to erase that. I'm going to keep it, though. Whatever. So where we left off, our noble rogue, and I don't mean that he is a noble person, he is of noble birth, has been given a task, or accepted a task, from a gentleman at a big party, you would say. And the stakes have just been raised pretty severely, correct?
Very severely.
Yeah. He's got to complete these 3 tasks. If he fails or gives up, if he doesn't complete them for any reason, the man that gave them to him told him that he would be killed, or he would not leave the party, or it's gonna be bad. So, yeah, if I had wah, 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 good trombone sound for every fail that we have, but. So that's where we stand. We had to call it quits last time because my naked 2-year-old daughter got out of the tub and came running in the room. So we kind of called that one a halt. So here we are. We're going to pick up where we left off. Just a refresher. You were just given the task of finding somewhere around 500 gold worth of merchandise. Now that's up to you how you find it. He will be the one to appraise it. That's what he told you. So you've got to come up with that. So, let's go ahead. Let's pick up. What do you want to do?
Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the room. I want to look for probably the 3 most regal women in the room. That probably being also the Lord's wife, who I guess as of the last session was fairly intoxicated,
very drunk, hanging off of her husband, not so much for love or lust, pretty much because she's so drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to scope out and see what probably the 3 most regal looking women in here are, especially the ones that are mostly intoxicated.
All right, gotcha. All right, so you glance around the room. Now, what you listeners at home are not going to be able to see, we aren't doing video. And quite honestly, we're just too lazy to take pictures at the moment. But we've got a board in front of us. It's a hexagonal mm-hmm. mat. And I'm setting up, as we speak, the scene of this party with dice, spare dice that I have, and then just some tokens that Martin had gotten out of an old, 2nd edition pre-made adventure.
Yeah. This one was right. I think right as 3 was coming out. Our old buddy Derek got me this one. And granted, I didn't use it, but I thought the tokens inside might be worth it.
Yeah, they. I've thought about getting some miniatures, but miniatures are just so. Man, they're just so expensive for nothing. For those of you who are enthusiasts of the miniature, I understand why you feel that they're great and you're so enthusiastic about them. I just can't justify paying more than $10 for one figure. Mm-mm. And
no,
I'll just get some dice and some, Coke bottle lids and stuff like that. All right, so as we set up the board, this is the general layout of the room. And the center of the room. And for those of you listening at home, the room, big square. There's some staircases in the back that kind of lead up, but most everybody is in the floor level of the area. In the center of the room, there's the nobleman who's throwing the party, his wife. There are a group of people standing around him, and then often in certain areas of the room, there are maybe groups of 2, 3, 4 people milling around talking, just random groups. As the board stands, I've got that illustrated here on the board with various dice and these tokens. And then in the very corner of the room is our rogue, and represented by, what is this, a Heineken bottle cap, is our mysterious party goer. Yeah.
our instigator.
Yeah.
So here's the main lord,
Right.
and lady, and these are
these are noble people.
Do we have any tables, chairs?
No, this is a flat area. The servants are walking around bringing stuff. There are some along the edges of the room, but in terms of the room itself, in the middle, all of that's free. Over here in the corner, in one corner by itself, collected are a group of musicians.
Okay.
But for the most part, the room itself is open enough for you to walk around and interact. And if somebody wants to get out and dance, or if there's an organized dance at some point, that's pretty much free.
Right. Okay. The little redhead, where was she at? The servant that was eyeballing the Lord?
She was off to one side.
Okay.
She is no longer there.
Okay.
The servants, other than the group that's standing in front of you, kind of shielding you from the rest of the party, the rest of the servants are in and out relatively quickly.
Okay.
At the moment, you don't see her.
And what are the servants that are milling about wearing?
Servants' clothes.
Okay.
Just basic, livery. Same thing that all the other servants. They're all in a uniform look.
Okay. And besides the lady noble, what is jewelry wise? What can I see on
Nothing
her person?
from where you are because you're behind a group of people.
Okay.
So you have to actually get up and move around. And
I'm going to put my deck away.
That's always good.
Pack it up.
It's always good.
And go ahead and step out from around that group and kind of meander about. And I'm going to do it pretty stealthily in a way that I'm trying not to attract any type of notice. So that's going to be my first step, is to try and get close and at least eyeball what's going on and kind of pick out my marks.
Okay. So as you walk around, where do you want to go first? Do you want to go to the group closest to you?
Yeah, I'd like to stay outside in the perimeter as much as possible.
Okay. You start to kind of make your way around. You just go to the group in front of you. There are 3 noblemen, all kind of standing around. They look very drunk. As most everybody here kind of looks that way. There are some that don't. But for the most part, everybody's having a good time. You can tell this is their thing. But the 3 that are there, they're all standing in this little group, and they're looking at the nobleman and his wife. You don't pick anything that they're saying, but that's where you're the closest to, and they're not paying attention to you. Mm-hmm. It looks like whatever they're doing, they're pretty intent on it.
And just from what I can see on the nobleman, do I see anything in particular of value on there?
Well, how about we roll an investigation check, and we'll take a look.
Okay.
All right, so go ahead and roll that check.
Okay, so this is a investigation, which is for intelligence, and we have a +5.
So you rolled an 8, and that's a +5.
Yep.
That, my friend, that will pass.
Okay.
All right, so you kind of look these guys over to see if there's anything of value. One of them is wearing his coin pouch just right on the outside, and it's bulging. Pretty brazen that he's doing that, but he's got his coin purse just right on the outside, not even really being hidden. I'm going to need you to stop touching the token. Martin is touching the tokens as I'm talking. He's flipping them over to get a prettier face, I guess.
No, they're color-coded.
Just throw them a junk off, man.
So one has a red side and
Don't
another
worry
has
about
a plain
it.
side.
Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it, bro.
Just trying to mirror the mark.
All right, so anyhow, Yeah, this guy here on the end, on the far right, has his coin purse attached to his belt, very brazenly. The others, while their clothes look extremely expensive, the only other thing of note is the other guy on the other end is wearing a very ornate sword. That looks very expensive. It's crusted in some jewels. You don't know the value of the jewels, if they're, high quality or not, but that's what he's got. The guy in the middle, he's just there. He doesn't really, just upon looking, you don't really see anything that would lead you to believe that he's got anything of value on him that you can see.
Okay. And then I also want to see if I'm able to pick up any other conversation as I'm coming by.
It's a lot of, they're looking at the noble. They're just kind of bad-mouthing. That's all it is.
Okay.
Drunken, jib-jab about certain things. They're talking mostly about him. They're really talking about his wife a lot. So
Gotcha. Okay. Then I'm going to move on to the next group in the northern part of the room.
All right. So you make your way over, and this is a group of 4. There are 2 women and 2 men. The way that they seem to be acting would lead you to believe they're not there. They didn't come together.
Okay.
All right. So there's some banter going back and forth that would lead you to believe that there's some, as Dusty Rhodes would say, there's some, I'm not going to do a Dusty Rhodes impression.
I was waiting.
I should know that by now, after the first episode, that went wrong. I don't know, though. It could be that I could do a good Dusty Rhodes impression. I don't. Anyway.
Big lisp.
Yeah, go ahead. So, 2 guys, 2 ladies, standing in a group, chit-chatting.
Right. I'm going to investigate them as well and see if I can see any jewelry.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a check. Ooh. That is going to be a fail. So you walk by, you don't see anything on them.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, one of the ladies notices you, and they all kind of, they're immediately intimidated at this point.
Okay. I'm just going to smile at them and keep meandering on. I'm going to go to the northeast side.
All right. So you make your way around.
Making me touch the token.
Yeah. Well, it's too far away from me. So you make your way around. This is 2 ladies.
One is a wolf.
Standing off in the corner by themselves.
Dog-like features.
And they are, just chit-chatting back and forth. One of them is a little inebriated. The other one is relatively, from what you can tell, she seems very calm. She doesn't have a drink in her hand.
Okay.
But they both have dresses and jewelry on.
I'm going to investigate them as well, see if I can kind of tell what the conversation is and also what they're wearing is in possibly jewelry.
Okay. That's a fail. So, again, as you get close enough, they notice that you're there and they kind of, close up and stop talking. And one tries to initiate some banter, but she kind of just squeaks a little bit.
Okay. Then I'm going to move to the southeast group. Apparently there's 2 people there in the southeast.
Yep, there are 2 folks in the southeast corner. It's a man and a woman, and they seem to be familiar with each other with the way that they're speaking back and forth. So,
and this isn't the one that I encountered earlier.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna investigate them as well and see if what their inebriation, conversation, whole thing, plus if they're wearing any jewelry.
That will be a pass.
Okay.
That's a 12 with a +5. So as you come up on them, the gentleman has some minor trinkets. He has a very ornate belt. You don't see a coin purse, but you do see another weapon. This was a very ornate dagger. You doubt that it's even usable. Mm-hmm. But again, very ornate. The lady has a relative wealth of jewelry on her. In particular, a necklace around her neck that seems to have some very large rubies.
Okay. And then I'm going to make my way past the Lord and Lady and just, swirling around, meandering, chit-chatty in a certain way, and really try and also pick up the people that are around the Lord and Lady, as well as the Lord and Lady themselves.
All right, so you get over there, and there's a group around them. They are talking directly to the group, almost like, the nobleman thinks he's some sort of comedian, thinks he's a jester. He's saying things, and everybody's laughing. The lady is just, she's laughing even when there's nothing funny happening. She's just constantly doing her thing, but she's, laying all over him.
So this is where the real group of kind of the power in the room is really residing, from what I can tell.
This is the person who's throwing the party.
Right. And then the people around him are his lackeys.
They're people. You don't know that.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to investigate them, and then after I investigate the group that's around him, I'm going to continue my move around and investigate the Lord and Lady.
All right. Go ahead and roll this. I'm no longer going to let you use investigate for this. We're going to use something else at this point. You really wear that investigation out.
Well, I tried to investigate the whole room, but we went party to party. So,
So go ahead and roll that investigation check. That is an 11 plus 5. That will pass.
Okay.
So the group that's around him, it's the same scenario. There's a couple of men who have on, ornate kind of, weaponry. The gentlemen have some, off, just odd, decorations on them. Typical man stuff. Nothing outright. Like, there's no guy walking around with a giant ruby necklace on. The women that are around, there's a handful of ladies that are around. A few of them have some rings that look like they could be of wealth. Mm-hmm. One's got, it's not a tiara, but it is sort of a hair.
Like a comb?
Yeah, a comb. That it's in her hair that looks like it could be of value. The Lord and the Lady are both decked out to the gills.
Fully.
They look like they're wearing thousands of gold worth of things. The lady has a ring, gigantic ring on one hand, and then on her right hand, on her left hand, she has a couple of smaller rings on 2 fingers. The Lord has a ring on every finger, none on his thumbs, but he does have a ring on every finger, and they look ridiculously expensive. Both of them are wearing jewelry around their necks that look very expensive. So they have a lot of options that you could go from.
Okay. So now that I have a good idea of what's around the room and who has what, I'm going to kind of be that cocky noble and be kind of flourishing. And again, it was getting late into the night, and people were kind of getting ready to wrap up. So I'm going to actually swing around to the Lord and Lady themselves, and go ahead and give the Lord a deep, deep bow and let him know that I'm going to be soon to retiring, and thank you so much for having me at this wonderful gathering. I'd like to, in my own country's tradition and my family tradition, have a final dance with the lady of the night, and wish you all a farewell.
Okay. He immediately looks at you, and the conversation stops immediately. Obviously, because you're by default the guest of honor, so to speak. The lady looks immediately flushed, like this is the best thing that's ever happened to her. She can barely stand up. She's not embarrassed at all. She's just perking her boobs up and fluffing her hair out like she's getting ready to be the belle of the ball. The Lord looks at you and just for a moment looks at you without any kind of expression. Roll a perception check for me, or an insight check, rather.
Okay.
So that's a 6 plus 2. You don't really gather anything from the look. He just looks at you and without an expression, and then immediately is just like, I would have it no other way. please, I'm honored by your presence here, your family sending you here for this party in particular. Yes, please. And he snaps his fingers and points over at the crowd, and everybody kind of peels off away, to give room for you to dance, and servants clear the floor, and the Lord just kind of steps off to the side a bit. And they begin to play some music. How about you roll a performance check?
You like that performance. It's driving me nuts. All right. Here we go. 14.
It's 14 with no bonus. Charisma. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you begin to dance, and immediately all the ladies start to swoon. You're obviously a good dancer. It's something that you've done before. Strangely enough, even as drunk as she is, the lady is very graceful at this point. Kind of makes you wonder if she's drunk at all or if she's just acting. Mm-hmm. But she's being very graceful, and you're dancing away, and everyone's watching you while the song is going on.
Am I even able to really tell if she's faking it or drunk?
Insight check.
Okay.
15 plus 2. And that's she is intoxicated,
but she's holding.
But
she's
at
used
this
to this
point,
ball.
she's deep breath.
Right.
She is not going to make a fool of herself in front of all these people. This is going. You get the impression this is the memory she wants everyone to go home with of how graceful she looked with the guest of honor.
Okay. And in this dance, I'm going to go ahead and dance with her around the room and just kind of fill out how the room looks. I'm going to begin after we've done our initial dance, kind of like a wedding, very traditional, a pair in the middle. I'm going to then bring couples out to surround us with further dancing, which it would be in the traditional fashion of the elves to bring them out.
So how are you going to do that?
As we dance, we'll dance around about 3 times, and then she will be in the middle, and I'll bow to her, and I'll come out and pull a man, and then I'll go to the other side and pull a woman. And it'll be very random people.
Okay.
And bring them into the dance.
All right. Yeah, we can do that. Certainly. You dance her around, you spin her, and you can see her face is flush, and you go over and you start to bring some people out. The couples that you went to earlier are the first to go out, and they go sort of a C shape around you, and then the 2 ladies that are over here grab a couple of gentlemen that were previously talking to the Lord, and they go out and start to dance. The 3 gentlemen that were talking on that trash, they're not moving. Mm-hmm. They're staying over to the side, and now instead of watching the lady and the Lord laughing, they're looking at you, and they're still doing something. They're making fun, but they're being they're trying to be, stealthy about it. They don't want anybody to see they're making fun of the guest of honor, so to speak. The group of people that were with the Lord that didn't go out to dance, the ones that are left over, they're still hanging out with the Lord and just kind of standing behind him. Nobody's coming out from there. But
so now at this point, what I want to do is try and get my timing down to take advantage of my flourish dancing when I'm spinning and twirling and everything else with the Lord Lady. And this is where we're actually going to see if maybe I can attempt to pull not one, but a couple pieces of jewelry that are either very accessible on her hand or vice versa. Even using semi-tricks of the trade of, even if I have to use a little bit of saliva to actually dampen a finger where I'm holding her hand to slip it off, without being in direct contact with those 2 different groups.
Okay. So you're dancing along, and you sort of make your way closer to a couple of the groups that are from the 2 couples that were flirting so bad with each other. So you have people around you at this point. And
I'm going to use my stealth in a way of being able to utilize my surroundings to keep that blocked like he is. And then I'm going to see if I can swipe a couple gems.
Okay. So that will be a sleight of hand check. So go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand check.
Ooh, come on. Now, in this situation, would I have any advantage or disadvantage since she's drunk?
No.
Okay.
So 13 plus
a 3.
3.
So 16.
16. Let me look here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you pull one ring off from the hand. You said you were going to pull off one from the cup.
From a couple different spots.
All right. You pull one ring from the hand that has a couple of rings on there, and you just kind of pull it off, and then very quickly slap it in your pocket.
And from that point, I want to, given that it was literally that easy, I am deciding whether or not I want to try for a second one. Because kind of the idea of what I want to do is have a scapegoat in the room. Being a noble and also per his class, I'm trying to devise this plan. So I wanted to see which I'm thinking I wasn't arrogant enough to take the huge one.
Well, you didn't clarify. You just said
Okay.
you were going to take one of the couple of rings.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't want to take the most obvious one. I definitely wanted to take the ones that are just as, almost probably as valuable without ones that are going to be completely noticeable. How many more rings does she have on? Or does she?
Well,
The
yeah,
other
you
big
can
one?
tell from where you're at. She's got the big one on the one hand. She's got one on the hand that you took from.
Okay, so that's all that she's got left?
Yeah, for rings, yeah.
Okay. And what kind of ring was it that I took?
You have no clue right now.
Okay.
Yep, it's in your pocket.
Okay. I'm not sure that I want to go for the larger one. Is she wearing any kind of necklace or bracelets or anything like that?
She is wearing a necklace. It looks like a typical gold necklace.
Is she wearing any kind of maybe a gold bracelet, something that might slip off?
No, I mean, the one hand that you have in your hand, there's no bracelet on.
Okay. And I can't tell on the other one.
Yeah, it's behind you.
Okay.
You didn't look. So.
I'm going to put her in a nice quick flourish as we're circling around the inner group and see what I can see on that wrist.
Okay. As you spin her around, I won't make you roll a check for that. There's nothing there.
Okay.
No, she's got all of her big jewelry on her hands. And
okay.
she's got a lot. She does have a gold necklace on her neck. She has a couple of things in her hair. Her earrings are some big, large stones.
Okay. I think I'm going to probably call it on this one, just for the simple fact that even if I don't have a ring of superior value, she's got too much that's going to become way obvious. And what I'm going to now do is I'm actually going to intermingle the groups.
Okay, so you finish dancing, you give her a bow, everybody claps, they kind of go back into their previous groups. With some reason, it looks like the two ladies have picked up one of the other ladies that was dancing. The Lord has come back over and just started, talking about how honored he is for this dance. The lady is, she is breathing heavy. This was a thing for her. This was a big deal. But you've got now you're in the middle of the group talking to the Lord that threw the party.
And I'm again going to bow to him and let him know that I'm going to make my rounds and say my goodbyes. However, I will join him at the last, as is the honor.
Sure. All right. So you make your way out. Which direction?
I'm going to go out to the east and go counterclockwise.
Okay, so you make your way over to the three ladies that were dancing and
thank them very much for participating, and I'm very honored that they're as graceful as they are.
Okay. And then you make your way around to the group with the two couples who roll a d20. 11. Okay. You make your way over there, and they notice you coming, and they immediately just are giddy about the whole thing. Everyone's talking. You know, they all want to be seen talking to you at this point.
And I'm going to also address them and say I appreciate them with their participation, and I'm honored that the humans can be as graceful as they are, and these must be some of the best dancers in the land.
Okay. And then you make your way
past the gentleman and back to the table.
The three gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
So you go back to behind the servants?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you get closer, the servants start to kind of pull back up to block you, and you're over there. Just with Geralt, or Geralt, I forgot how I say his name last time. I think it's Geralt. And he's sitting there, and he smiles as you come over, and he says, "That was a wonderful performance."
Well, I appreciate it. I actually have something for you if you'd like to have that rest of that deck of that card game that we were in the
Certainly,
middle of.
by all means, please deal out.
And I pull out the deck and I say, you know what, this time let's go ahead and let you deal.
Okay.
And inside of the box is going to be the ring that I took.
Okay. So you push it over, and he, with a flourish, gets the cards out and shuffles them. Roll a d20 for me. 1. Yep. You see him deal, but you don't see the ring.
Right.
And you don't really see him do anything. You just see him shuffling the cards. And he says, "That will do. That will do. Fortunately for you, 500 gold is a meager pittance for any piece of jewelry or ornamental wear that anyone at this party is wearing. Now that the easy task is over, are you ready for your second trial?"
I believe that we can deal out the cards and try that game then.
As you see, the two staircases that go up in the back of the room lead to the bedrooms in this manner. I know for a fact that there's a box on the lady's nightstand that contains something that I want. I want you to retrieve that box, but I don't want you to open it. I want you to retrieve the box.
Okay. And do I have a description of this box, or is it?
You'll know.
Okay.
You'll know the box.
Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and let him know that while you're dealing, I'll be right back. I must excuse myself. And I'm going to excuse myself, and I'm going to make my way back to the Lord and Lady. And I'm going to, again, thank him so much. I did want to address you last, as you have been so graceful, and I am very excited that you had me here. I wish to come again the next party that you have, and hopefully that our families can also do a lot more business in the future.
I'm so honored for you to be here. Thank you. This means the world to me and will make such a difference in the future for our family.
And with a big flourishing bow, I'm actually going to make my way towards those stairs, whether or not they're the stairs I'm supposed to go up to or not, because I'm going to use my nobility where everybody thinks that wherever I go is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to head up that direction.
Okay. Well, fortunately for you, the two couples that were previously dancing, in the time that you've made your way over to the table, are now kind of off in some shadowy alcoves. You can see that there are people there, and there's some action going on over in those corners. Your dance has proved successful in that respect. The Lord and the lady, actually, as you walk away, you would think that they would watch you, and give you, but no, they've turned right back to the group of people. Now they're surrounded by the group, and they're just gushing about how this is the party of the century. Nothing will ever top this for them. The three ladies that were off in the corner, they're doing their thing. They're not paying you any attention anymore. The three gentlemen that were talking have watched your interaction with the Lord of the Manor, and they may be watching you, they may not. Mm-hmm. So you make your way over towards the steps.
And I'm going to utilize my stealth to kind of be as unnoticeable as possible. Not trying to hide in shadows or anything like that, but just try to be very smooth about my actions as I'm going.
Okay. I'm going to say this is going to be very difficult because it's a well-lit room and there's really no cover.
Right. And I'm not trying to hide. I'm just trying to be very smooth.
I understand that, but yeah, you're trying to disappear, in other words.
Kind of, yeah.
So I'm going to say this is very difficult. So give me a stealth check. Now, stealth is your dexterity with a
plus 10.
Plus 10 bonus.
So that would be a 22.
That's a 22. That fails.
Okay.
So as you start to make your way up the steps, one of the three men who are talking such trash over there just kind of blurts out. It's the guy who's obviously a little more drunk than the others. Just kind of blurts out, I guess the elves don't have that great direction sense. The exit's not over there.
And then I'm going to say, oh, pardons. The wine must have gotten to my head.
All right, so at this point now the Lord and the lady look over and they're like, oh, heavens. So the Lord of the Manor walks over to you and he's like, oh, forgive me. I feel so silly. Let me at least escort you to the door.
Thank you. And I'm going to go with him to the door.
Okay. So you make your way over to the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets you to the front door and he says, did you have a coat or anything that I could... I don't recall you coming in with a cloak.
Oh, I cannot remember. The memory is very fuzzy right now. Would you check for me? It would be of a great elvish fashion. I'm sure you know the size.
Certainly. He snaps his fingers and a servant runs over to you, just some gentleman. And the Lord of the Manor kind of looks at him and says, please, find this elven gentleman's cloak before he leaves. And bows and makes his way off, and the Lord just turns and looks, stands there with you, and he's smiling from ear to ear. And
yeah, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to make my way out, and then I'm going to try and navigate around to see if I can find another entryway into the room.
All right.
Or to that hallway.
So now you go outside. There are a couple of guards at the front door. A couple of, they don't look like soldiers, but they're guards and they're just standing at the front door. There's a path leading out to some hedges, and then there are carriages and
I'm going to see my carriage and say, oh, what a great night for just a simple stroll. I think I'll take a walk for the fresh air. And then I'm going to meander towards that direction that would be in the same direction as their rooms would be.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use the darkness for stealth.
So you're going to walk out and then immediately turn to the left?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. So you go out and you start to walk, and you're walking around the front of the manor, and I guess just kind of taking in.
Yeah, kind of taking a look at everything, seeing what I'm working with, essentially.
All right, so
almost cat burglarish.
You've come out the front door, and you're walking around the edge of the manor, and you get to the edge of the manor, and you go around. As you go around, you see there's guards walking the length of the manor. There's one that his back is to you, walking in one direction. And then on the far end of the manor, there's another guard walking towards you.
Mm-hmm. But he's not close enough to see
not
you
yet.
yet.
Well,
Okay.
don't know if he's close enough to see you, but he's not close to you.
Okay. I'm going to utilize the darkness and the whatever other features there, shrubs, bushes.
I'm going to utilize the darkness.
And,
All right, so you're going to do a stealth.
yeah, I'm going to really actually go into stealth mode on
All
this
right.
one.
Go ahead and roll me a stealth check. That is a nat 20. That's gonna work.
I don't care what your difficulty is at this point. That better freaking work.
Yeah. Nat 20 will work. All right, so you immediately just kind of slink back into the bushes they're not big bushes,
Right.
but they're enough bush, that you can just jump behind and start sneaking, and they're not going to notice you at all.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how I would like to. You know that the front of the building goes directly into the ballroom. Mm-hmm. On the far side is where the staircases are.
Right.
So you know it's going to be around the back side of the manor.
Right.
So, but after that, you don't really know where the rooms are. So,
And and that's what I'm really looking for is just my next kind of entryway in.
okay. So you go around the edge of the building. Mm-hmm. All right. You go around to the back again. There's guards. There's a terrace, one floor up. It's only a 2-story manor. It's just very large. But this is directly in the middle. The 2 guards are walking. You're still going to be fine hiding from them. But the terrace is 1 floor up. There's ivy and rose bush growing along the back. There is a guard on the terrace. Mm-hmm. He's kind of leaning up against it with his back in what looks like a very not responsible way of keeping guard. But he's leaning up against the kind of the banister of it. But other than that, those are the only ones that you see.
Okay. Well, at least now I know that if I would have went in there, there would have been a guard on that terrace. I think I'd want to utilize maybe. I'm not sure how to do this. If maybe I want to pick up a rock and toss it in a direction to kind of distract guards, kind of a distraction situation, or if I just want to wait for the guards to get at the far enough distance for me to attempt a quick climb. But again, I have to worry about possibly the noise. That's hard. The best bet I think I've got is to let the guards, probably let the guards stay in as stealthy as possible, let the guards go as far as they are, and really just try and scuttle up as quietly as possible.
Shimmy up as fast as you can. All right, so you make your way up, up under the terrace, no problems. And you wait till the guards are on the far end, going away from you, right? Okay, so let's see, either acrobatics or athletics, or what's it called? Acrobatics or athletics. I'm going to say. All right, so that would be that'll be an athletics check if you do that. What's your so that's athletics is a strength check, correct?
That's correct. It is a strength check.
Okay, so you'll roll die 20 and add your athletics check to it.
Which, if you remember at the beginning of this character, wasn't very good. Oh!
Yeah, that's a 1. So you immediately grab hold of the lattice that's going up the side of the building, and you, as soon as you put your weight on it, it all comes crashing down.
Okay.
The guard up top, you hear him go, "Huh!" which leads you to believe that he was asleep. The 2 guards that were out are now looking around, they kind of start looking back.
And I assume
What do you want to do?
I'm on the ground? Or
No, you're standing there with lattice and stuff falling on
so I
you.
didn't even get off the ground.
No, as soon as you put your weight on it, it came down.
Then I'm going to do... This is going to be a tough one because this kind of throws off his whole plan, since he can't even climb apparently lattice work. I think that I'm going to appear right there in the road since the guards have, I guess, just turned around.
Yeah, they're in as of right now. You heard the guard up top. Huh? Mm-hmm. The two guards are like, "What?" And they're turning to look at you, but nobody's cried out.
Right. As soon as that happens, I'm going to go ahead and step out into the light. Being a charismatic noble, and I was out for my nightly stroll, I'm going to yell for those guards to come over here because this guard at the terrace has thrown this lattice down on me. And I'm going to demand that he comes down here and apologize.
Okay. Well, you step out, and immediately the guard up top says, "Hey, there's an elf down here." And the two guards, "Hey, don't you move!" And they start running in from the sides.
And that's fine. They can run in from the sides. But my nobility, as it would be, would immediately probably bring them to a halt since I have witnesses that I was out on a nightly stroll.
Well, they're not stopping. They're running at you.
Okay.
And they're
so uncharacteristic of appreciating a noble.
possibly, maybe not one that's, sneaking around back that they haven't seen that just appeared out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So,
which
are you going to say anything?
I'm going to tell them to halt where they are.
All right. Well, they don't. They're not going to halt.
Okay.
They're running closer to you, and now they both got swords out, and they're running. I'd say they're maybe 10 yards away from you on either side.
And I'm going to tell them I will have their heads by the great Lord, and you can have him come out here if need be.
Okay. They get upon you, and they both got swords drawn, and they're holding them out, and they're like, "How did you get out here?"
I walked right past you. Now, I shall go talk to your lord and tell him what a poor job you have done, as well as take that one up there's head off for throwing this lattice down on me.
And the one up top says, I didn't throw anything at you."
Really? I heard your snores from down here as you fell and threw it on me.
And the other one's like, "You were asleep again?" And they go, "Well, there's nobody up here. Nothing's good." And the one looks at you and he says, "You stay right here. Don't you move." And the other guard who's down, sword lowers a little bit, but he's he's ready to go if he has to. The other guard runs around. As he gets to the corner of the building, one of the guards that was up front or on the other side of the building has now turned and peeking around. And it's like, "What's going on?" So he says something. The guard that ran over there says something to that one. That one takes off back around the edge. The one that he comes back to you.
Sure.
And now they're standing there. So we just stand there for a couple of minutes.
I'm going to have one of the guards go grab the ones out front that heard me say I'd like to go take a nightly stroll and have them come over.
He says, "It's not that I don't believe you, but I just need you to stay here for a moment and not say anything. It's the best for you, I promise."
I am completely embarrassed of this situation, and I really feel that this is going to have a huge damper on your lord and my father's business.
About the time that happens, the Lord comes running around the edge of the building, and he comes over. There's another guard there with him, and that guard that has come with him has sword drawn too. So he comes over, and the Lord is like, "What is the meaning of this?"
I would like to know the same thing. I simply came out for a nice stroll since the night was so young and just wanted to clear my head before traveling home. And then, of course, this buffoon up top throws this lattice work down on me for whatever reason right after he got done snoring.
Roll a deception check. So it's an 8. No bonus. So the Lord looks up at the guy up top, and he obviously believes you at that. He says, "You were sleeping again. I told you that if you were caught sleeping, that you would be fired immediately." And the guy up there's like, "What was it? I was up." And he says, "Go, get your things and leave." And he looks at the other guard that's beside him, and he says, "Go get one of the others to escort him. Make sure that he takes nothing that's not his." And so he runs around the front, and the Lord looks back at you, and he says, "I thought you were leaving. Why are you walking around my home?"
As I told you, I decided that I'd take a little stroll in what I thought was a very safe area just to clear my head before heading home.
And he looks at the guard that's still there, the one that you walked past, and he says, "Did you see him come around?" And they says, "No, my lord, I didn't see anything." And he says, "Something's strange here. So I'm going to ask you to leave.
Absolutely.
I won't mention this to your family, but I can't stand the disgrace after such a wonderful evening. I think it's best if you go."
And I'm going to ask him for an escort back to my carriage so no other guards seem to throw anything at me. Elf-hating guards.
And he's certainly... So he actually walks with you around the front, and you get to the front door, and there's a group of people outside. And
then I'm going to bow to the Lord, and I'm going to get in my carriage that I have.
So you get inside the carriage.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to ride a certain distance, and then I'm going to pull out the gear.
Okay. Roll a die 20 for me. So that's an 18. You get in the carriage, and you immediately notice that you're not there by yourself. Mm-hmm. And you know that it's Geralt, the gentleman from inside. The carriage starts to go, and he says, "That seems to be some tough luck."
Well, the good thing is that no permanent damage to the situation has been made, as well as still an opportunity.
He says, "Yes, yeah, there is certainly an opportunity. The opportunity is for me. As the fired guard is also on my watch, and he's procured that box. Would you like to know what was the box?"
What was the box?
It was an old Jack-in-the-Box, and I just planned to give it to my son. He says, "It's unfortunate, but per the arrangement, there is no chance for you to go back at this point. I'm sorry."
I don't remember what happens next.
"You are now in combat."
All right.
You are
inside of a carriage?
Inside of a carriage. You have no weapon at the ready. I'll just move this over here. All right, so you're in the carriage. I'm going to say that, where's your token? Did I move it over there?
This one.
All right, so you're in this carriage. He's right there. You are at disadvantage. So
I'm at disadvantage?
You are at disadvantage.
Okay.
So for those of you who are unfamiliar, as I was, with what that means, disadvantage means that he will roll twice on attacks. The person attacking him will roll twice on attacks, I guess
why would he get advantage?
Well, because you're in there
with him
in an enclosed space. He already has a weapon drawn. You have nothing.
Okay,
and he's attacking you.
Though I have my weapons on.
Surprised. You do have a dagger? Is that what you had?
Dagger, rapier.
Yeah, you have your dagger. You don't have your rapier, and you're not wearing your leather armor because it's a dance, and we said you were in your noble clothes.
Right.
So,
but I would have had the rapier because it's kind of a symbol of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would have the rapier, except that you don't have anything ready.
Right.
All right. So, in a situation where you're at disadvantage, you would roll twice on attacks, and you would take the lower of the rolls. So I'm not clear on whether or not, and looking at this, I don't know that the NPC gets treated any different when they have advantage. I don't know if they roll twice.
Right. Well, and it's going to depend on what their advantage is too. Like from the side.
Not
the
even
back.
that. I don't see anything about whether or not you apply that stuff to non-player characters. I'm going to say yes.
I would say it's a yeah.
I'm going to say yeah. All right, so we're now in combat. Go ahead and where's my die 20? It's way over here in the midst of the group that composed the musicians. All right, so we'll go ahead and roll.
I got a 6.
All right, so I will go first, and we're going to attack. What's your natural armor class? Out of the leather armor.
Let's see, dexterity. So, 13.
All right. So we'll roll. The first roll is a 5. We have advantage, so we'll roll again. That's a 10. We'll take the greater of the two rolls, and my character has a +3 to hit, so that's a 13.
Okay.
So that would hit. Okay, so we'll do a die 4, and that's a 2.
Okay.
And he has a +1, so that will be 3 damage. And so you'll go ahead.
All right.
So that's a 12. And a nat 1. So, yep, you take the lowest of those. That's a guaranteed miss.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you're punching because you didn't declare you were doing anything in particular.
Might as well.
So,
I mean, I'm trying to figure out his advantage and disadvantage, but we'll go ahead and keep the punching going.
his advantage because he's in an enclosed space.
So we're both in equal
Knew
space.
you were coming. He has a weapon drawn.
Right.
Had it ready to attack. Similar as if we were in an old edition and said that you were surprised.
Okay. So that's okay. So he won't
Yeah.
have advantage going forward. It was just that initial.
No, that's an advantage because now you're on guard.
Right.
Trying to.
So I'm not surprised now after this round.
You are at disadvantage until I say you're not at disadvantage.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right, let's go next round.
13.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll hit.
All right. So we'll do 1 to 4.
Oh, roll twice because you might crit though.
It's true. Good point. All right, no crit. So that's another 3 damage.
Okay.
That's a nat 1,
Which would be the lowest.
Yeah. So at this point, you're bloodied and you're really kind of getting weak. So you throw another punch. It just kind of goes off the side. And I'll just throw this out there. He obviously does not look pleased to be doing this, but he's about to stab you.
It's irrelevant.
All right, so we'll go ahead and attack.
It's your turn.
So that's a 4. And a 5, so nothing.
Nope.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. At this point, I am going to grab the dagger, pull it out, and then I'm going to stab him with it.
All right, so that's your minor action is pulling out your dagger. Go ahead and
All right.
attack.
18.
18.
And a 14,
14.
which would be +3, so
Yeah,
17.
both of that will hit. 17 will hit.
So it would be a D4
So die 4.
plus 3 for his dexterity. So
That's a 5. So you just kind of jab at his ribs as he leans in to attack. And he just kind of screams out. At this point, I'm going to say that he no longer has advantage.
Right.
Because now you've...
Actually landed a blow.
Yep. All right. So he attacks. That's a 9.
against 13.
That won't hit.
Okay. 10 plus, so 13? No. 10 plus 5 is 15.
Yeah, that will hit.
And then... and a 5.
That's another 5.
So that's 10 total.
Yep. So now he's pretty mad. So he rears back to stab. And, yep, that's a hit. And that is
That'll bring him to 0.
3.
Yep.
So he jabs it right in your chest, and you kind of go back, and he pulls the dagger out and holds his hand to his side where you've jabbed him twice. And, he's pushing to stop the blood. And as you're starting to black out, he says, "It's unfortunate. I had high hopes for you." Kicks open the door and just pushes you out. And the last thing you know is you go rolling down this embankment. That's my finishing music. I don't know.
Wonderful. It's a thrilling.
Yeah. So those. I know it's always a bummer when you come out on the tail end of this stuff, and a good DM is not trying to kill you, and I'm certainly not trying to kill anybody. Although that rat messed your drunk up.
We don't speak of the rat.
But yeah, I don't feel like a good DM tries to kill you. But the roles were they were what they were, and it's unfortunate. But I would like to throw this out there. I didn't say you were dead. I'm just, you may be.
He's bleeding out. I'm going to call it on this one.
But I do feel like this did a much better job. These two podcasts did a much better job of illustrating how the skills go in. We may have gotten a little, skill roll heavy, but I kind of meant for it to be that way. I wanted there to be a lot of opportunities to do things.
Right.
So... this served its purpose very well. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, it gets, and the other thing is too, is that, this game is designed to flex. It's the whole point. And just like if everybody reads the bottom, when it comes to advantage and disadvantage, it's not the most clear thing all the time, but the caveat is at the bottom of it, the DM gets the discretion to create that. And that's really to kind of flex the game. And it's not necessarily to really cause advantage or disadvantages against the characters as much as it's to flex and say, look, there's certain situations that things happen. So even though we have things in here that, we're trying to go by the book, you do have a lot of discretion as a DM, players, and the like, because that's kind of the way they designed this newer edition. It wasn't just to go completely every single rule. Because, frankly, in the last editions, there were too many rules.
Basically, what Martin's saying is he thinks it's bullcrap that I put him in disadvantage.
No, well, but that's the DM's discretion to do that. It doesn't mean the players need to understand it. It helps when the players get it, because advantage and disadvantage is one of those more ambiguous type of parts of the game.
There has to be, in situations where I feel like the DM has discretion on advantage and disadvantage, I feel like it has to be in response to the situation. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, the situation was pretty dire. You'd passed one test, and they had already told you that if you failed, you were going to be killed.
Right.
And in the second test, things just went wrong. I mean, you rolled a nat 1 and pulled the lattice down on yourself.
Nat 1 on like 5 different things.
Yeah, maybe these new dice aren't working too well. You might
I
get
don't
some.
know. It busted. He had a comeback at first. It wasn't the rat comeback, but it was a pretty good comeback.
Yeah, but there had to be some danger to it, and this character in particular has a really good dexterity score. Mm-hmm. And even in this situation where he was at disadvantage, had a bit of a comeback, mm-hmm. And really almost turned that fight around. But in situations where there's advantage and disadvantage, there has to be some element of danger to it. I'm going to leave that in because I don't know if anybody heard that. I have, for some reason, I've got all this stuff linked up to my MacBook, and every time my phone rings, that happens. I mean to turn that off every time. I think we should go ahead and call it at that point. That's a good place to just call it a day. So, for my good friend Martin, who is going to chew me out when this is over.
I am not going to chew anybody out.
I am your host, Dustin. This is Dungeon Mastered, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.